we will be discussing on managing student stress. I just want to do a brief introduction of myself. I'm Jaylen Lindsey. I'm the one who's presenting on this webinar currently. I'm the Health and Wellbeing Graduate Assistant through Campus Recreation. My graduate program is Counselor Education, where my specialization major, whatever you like to call it, is clinical mental health counseling. I'm also currently a counseling intern at Marietta College. And some of the things that I do at Marietta College is I just provide therapeutic services to Marietta College students, which can be just providing outreach services, facilitating group therapy, and also doing some brief individual counseling as well. Excuse me. So some of the topics that we are going to talk about today is, what is stress? Some top stressors among college students, realization techniques, balance and priorities, sleep, and also self-care. Excuse me. So let's talk about stress. What is stress? Stress is just the body's reaction to any change that requires any adjustment or response. Um, the body reacts in many different changes and ways that could be physical, mental, or even some emotional responses. And stress is a normal part of life. There's not a day in your life where you will not be stressed. We all go through ups and downs because we do know us students and faculty, staff, and just being a person in general, we may go through some things just through our daily lives, and stress is just part of our life, and it's good for us to know when we are stressed and how to handle stress. And then you can experience stress from your environments and your body and your thoughts. And what I mean by your environment, it could be from school, it could be from work, it could be from family, financial, whatever it can be. When it comes to your body, it could be just physical activity, right? So you put a lot of stress on your body. That's a good example. And what I mean by your thoughts is, a good example is when we in classes and we're studying a long period of time for an important exam or quiz coming up. So those are just some small examples of what I mean by environment, your body, and your thoughts. And I know sometimes people think that stress is negative, but it can be positive as well. And some examples that I have, it could be motivating for you to be better as a person, be better as a son, daughter, whatever the case may be. And it can help you actually figure out how to manage stress. And also, it can actually dictate when you are stressed as well, and kind of just take a step back and see why I am stressed and what are some areas that I need to improve on so that I won't be stressed short term or long term as well. Okay, so these are some top stressors among college students. You guys may have be familiar with some of these, but I still want to address it just in case. So first thing here, we get academic stress. It could be classes, writing papers, taking exams, multiple exams in one day, multiple classes in one day, and also even meeting certain GPA for a major. We also talk about personal stress, right? So adjusting to college, if you're a first year student, freshman or just a transfer, you're maybe the first one in your family to go to college and you don't have the resources from family. So that could put some stress on you. And also peer pressure, and that could be from being the best that you can be. That could be from just you be the first one going to college in your family in general. So those are just some examples. And the transition to adulthood, you're on your own now. There's no one to tell you to get up in the morning and go to classes and maybe go to work or, handling a class load or course load, whatever the case may be. We also have financial stress. So student loans and not having a job, those things are kind of two main areas when it comes to financial stress. Family stress, carrying on expectations, that could be, maybe many people in your family are have degrees and bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, PhD, doctorate, and also making family members proud. And I can speak for myself, I always want to make my family proud when it comes to anything, not just being a student, but those are just examples I wanted to touch base on. And then future stress, career job and where you want to live after college, what do you want to do after college, and all this and such. And also, you can see here on the right, we have a picture. It kind of just touches base on everything I just mentioned. There's a few things on there, obviously, that kind of goes in depth. As you can see, it says thesis and clinical and balancing. I already mentioned student loans. Like it says here, it also says rent, homework and lab and papers and all that stuff. So those are just more in-depth examples of some of the top stressors among college students. So next, we're going to talk about some realization techniques. I think we have three here that I think maybe you guys may not be familiar with, and you guys may be familiar with these realization techniques. So the first thing we're going to talk about is guided imagery, or some people also may call it visualization. It's the same, pretty much the same thing. It is the use of realization and mental visualization to improve mood and or your physical well-being. Positive mental imagery can reduce stress. It can improve your mood. It can control high blood pressure, and it can boost your immune system, which right now is very important with the COVID-19. And it may sound some small, but just really just thinking of a happy place or mentally blocking off everything that you've been going through in the past few weeks or however long it has been, just really just closing your eyes and just really mentally focus on some of the things that possibly make you happy. And we also have some progressive muscle relaxation. So what you do is you focus slowly on tensing and then relaxing each muscle group. This can really help you focus on the difference between muscle tension and relaxation. You can become more aware of your physical sensations. Now we have deep breathing. Deep breathing is probably the one that people are maybe more familiar with. And what it does is it helps expand the lungs, right? And it forces better distribution of the air into all sections of the lungs. And oops, very apologize for that. And enhances meditation and mindfulness. And these are just some different exercises. There's a 4-7-8 and there's a 5-5-5. So the first number you see, so for example, you see a 4-7-8. The first number is how many seconds you inhale. The second number, which is 7, is how long you hold your breath. And then the number 8 is how many seconds to exhale when it comes to deep breathing. And the 5-5-5 is more common because some people may have some respiratory issues, and so we don't want to cause no harm to them, right? So 5-5-5 is the one that's more common. Obviously, like I mentioned, you inhale for 5 seconds, you hold your breath for 5 seconds, and you exhale for 5 seconds. Now here, these are just some examples of what I just touched based on with the guided imagery, the progressive muscle relaxation, and deep breathing. As you see here for breathing, it's the 4-7-8. So I'm not going to go through all of this because this is a lot of information, but this kind of just goes in depth of how you do these certain techniques. I could just talk about a little bit. So like for example, for this 4-7-8 breathing, you can lay or sit with one hand on your chest and another on your belly. Take a slow, deep breath from your belly. Count to 4 as you breathe in. Hold your breath while mentally count 1 to 7. Release your breath completely and slowly while silently counting from 1 to 8. And you just repeat it 3 to 7 times or until you feel calm. And it doesn't have, it could be even be more than 7. It could take longer than expected, but once you do feel calm and you feel relaxed, you definitely feel so much better. And obviously we have how to do progressive muscle relaxation and also how to do guided imagery as well. So next we're going to talk about is balance and priorities. Some stresses can add stress in one area but relieve in others. So an example of this is a job can help you ease financial stress but add to personal stress. And I think some people may not think of it in that way. So you may feel good in one area, but it can affect you in another area. Like I just mentioned an example we have here. Some stresses are unavoidable. So your major might require an extremely challenging course. So schedule it with other courses that are more manageable, right? So, and what I mean by, I know sometimes this could be a little bit hard because of the time and anything like that. But if you are able to, maybe have a break in between classes, or even if you like to do back-to-back classes, and how you have the rest of the day to work out or just do or enjoy the things that you love to do, that could be very helpful with your class load or work-life balance and any other extracurricular activities you may be involved in. And I kind of touched base on a little about this just now, but prioritize the activities that relieve your stress, right? So I can use myself for an example. I love to work out and I love to grow plants. So whatever those activities you love to do, it could be reading a book, it could just be going for a walk, listen to music, coloring, drawing, whatever the case may be. Whatever those activities are, really prioritize those activities that can help you relieve stress because these things can help you short term and long term. And not only would this be helpful for you, but also you can also mentor others who may be going through stress or whatever else. Um, you'd be able to say, hey, this worked for me. Maybe you could try this out. Or you could even be like buddy to buddy and work those things out together and set some goals for each other. And hopefully you guys will be able to relieve stress together, which kind of goes along with social support. And we all need positive social support for us to be better individuals day by day. So this just touches based on a picture here, just touches based on college students and stress. I'm not gonna go all in depth over here, so I just want you guys to take a look at it here. I'll talk about it a little bit, just about what the picture says here. So 13% have been diagnosed with a mental health disorder. It could be a variety of mental health disorders. 9% have seriously considered suicide in the past year. Now that's even though that's a small number, but that's still a number you need to look at because it does get higher each year, unfortunately. And I think we need to recognize that suicide is a huge issue we have in today's society. And there's other environmental factors that play into that, such as bullying is one. But as far as stress, that is something we need to take into account that is very important. And I think that we need to really seriously help others and help ourselves so that we can even bring that number lower. Um, and I think it's also very important to know when someone maybe potentially have some suicide ideation. And what I mean by suicide ideation, I mean have the thoughts of having suicide. And it could be planning or no planning. But stress is a huge part of why students have considered, suicide ideation and hopefully not attempted it and actually have it happen. So next thing we're gonna talk about sleep. So it's recommended to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. If you There's a lot of good factors when it comes to sleep. And what I mean by that is if you do get enough sleep, it can help with concentration, it can help with memory, it can help with short term and long term memory, it can help you just retain that information that you learned the day before. And what it also does, it helps the body rest from everything you have done the day before. So if you had a long day and you woke up at 6 a.m. and you didn't get done until 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., you really need to get that 7 to 9 hours of sleep so you can kind of do the same thing you did the next day, even though that you may not have to do those same activities the next day. I kind of just mentioned this before. It improves the concentration and memory, so I'm not going to go on too much in depth for that again. But like I mentioned, that is very important, especially during this time where we are doing remote work and online instruction, and also exams coming up as well. Even though it is online, but we all want to get A's and do good in our exams, and it can maximize problem solving skills. So you'll be able to do some critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, whatever you like to do. It could be from work, it could be from school, studying habits, and all that good stuff. Now, I kind of touched base on it a little bit, but we'll go more in depth of it as well. So, individuals who don't get 7 hours or more of sleep increase the likelihood of anxiety, depression, and poor academic performance. Anxiety and depression are is a big issue, and it's very important to understand what anxiety and depression can do. And those two things can really affect your life short term and long term. And all three of these things, anxiety, depression, and poor academic performance, correlate with one another. And what I mean by that is anxiety and depression can lead to poor academic performance, right? And if you do have some academic performance, it may be because of anxiety and depression. And those anxiety and depression can be from a variety of things. And I touched base on the top stressors among college students, like the academic stress, personal stress, family stress, and even financial stress. Those all can lead to anxiety and depression, which can lead to poor academic performance. So that's very important to understand that. So we have sleep affects your cholesterol, which plays a significant role in heart disease. So that comes about more about your physical health, right? I know we kind of touching base on your mental health and what it does and all that good stuff, but we cannot forget about our physical health. I mean, we also can't forget about our emotional health and how we respond to the physical, mental, and emotional response, like I touched base on the slide where it talked about what is stress. And then studies have shown that students who get 9 hours. I actually really apologize for not finishing this slide, but I remember it. But studies have shown that students who get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, generally speaking, they do really well on exams. They do really well on quizzes. They do better with their day-to-day lives when it regards to healthy eating and all that good stuff. So sleep can do a lot for the body. It can really help when it comes to academic performance. It can come to positive social support. You'll be able to help others. And I think during this time with the COVID-19, I think that's very important. And it can also boost your immune system. It can give you less likely chance of skin cancer. Those are just small things that I want to touch base on, even though that kind of doesn't correlate with what we're talking about here. But I think for you guys to think about it is very important. So now here we got a picture on good night's sleep versus bad night's sleep. So I'm not going to go too in depth of it. I just want you guys to take a look at it and kind of just digest it a little bit and just really recognize these percentages are high. For an example, at 45% of people who get a good night's sleep, right, they feel less anxious, and that's really good. But obviously, 49% who get a bad night's sleep are moody and they're distracted. And even when you get bad night's sleep and you're driving somewhere for a long time, you could even potentially fall asleep behind the wheel, and we don't want that because obviously at that point you're putting harm to yourself, but also others around you as well. And you have to think about that, not just from behind the wheel, but just whenever you're around people and doing some interpersonal and intrapersonal um, reactions to people and social interactions with people in general. So as you can see here, with a good night's sleep, 43% have more energy and want to do more with their day. What do I mean by that, right? So what if you just have one class and it was 9 a.m. and you got a real good night's sleep, right? Well, you able to do some activities you may like to do. You may be able to work out. You may be able to get a paper done. You might be able to study for an exam for a long period of time, something that you've been wanting to do for a long time for that particular class. So when you do get a good night's sleep, it actually helps you plan. You can create a to-do list to get things done, and you'll be able to have a really good day. And 18% said they look younger, sorry, and they feel less tired, which is actually true. When you do get a good night's sleep, like I just mentioned, you're less likely to get skin cancer. Your skin is rest, is ready for the next day. And just like for an example, if you drink a gallon of water a day, it actually helps the skin as well. I know that has nothing to do with sleep, but I just want to give general an example of that. So really take into account what happens if you get good night's sleep versus when you get bad night's sleep, because these are very, very important. And obviously, I know we touched base on depression and anxiety, but it can lead to other um, mental health concerns as well. You can have panic attacks. Hopefully not, but you can even lead to sleep disorders like sleep apnea or narcolepsy, which are two of the more common sleep disorders that you guys may know about. So not only does it goes about your anxiety and depression, but it can lead to very other concerns as well that can really affect your academic performance and just being you as an individual. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about here is self-care. First of all, I greatly apologize if this picture on the left is It's too small, but I can read off some of these things for you. Absolutely. So these are just some things, some self-care activities that you can do any day and every day. And I really do suggest people to be active every single day, especially during this time with the COVID-19, where we are quarantined and we are doing some social distancing, and also being home and not being able to do the things that, excuse me, that we enjoy doing, which is just being outside, getting some fresh air. So when you are inside the house, you can do some things, right? You can journal. You can listen to a relaxation video. You can listen to your favorite music. You can light a candle. You can paint your nails. Pick up an old hobby. For example, for old hobby like me, I stopped growing plants and I kind of pick up that old hobby again to really help my self care, right? So you can read a good book, you can meditate and write a letter to someone you love, watch your favorite movie, watch inspirational and motivational videos, take a nap, relax. And generally speaking, when it comes to a nap, you want to take a power nap. You don't want to take too long of a nap because it can make you more sleepy when you do wake up. Studies and research have shown that. So be careful for that, but there's nothing wrong with taking a nap, and write a list of things you want to do. These are just some activities that I want you guys to really take into an account, especially during this time with the COVID-19, and who knows how long this is going to last. Now I know it is hard to be outside, but long term, when we are done with being quarantined, social distancing, there's some self care activities you can do outside of the house. So you can do yoga. You could look at stars. You could plant gardens, sit on the porch or balcony and just take in air. Spend time at a coffee shop. Spend time in nature. At the beach, at a park, at a lake. Do some hiking. You can spend time with a friend. It could be your best friend. It could be family members. It could be whoever people that has been there supported you throughout this time. You could take a walk, like I mentioned before, or last but not least, you could visit a family member or a friend. All these activities, guys, are all self care. It may seem small, but it could be a lot bigger, especially with stress and any other things that we are going through. It doesn't have to just be stress. If we're just feeling down, if we're just not having a good day overall, which is going to happen with what we have going on day by day. Really look at these activities and maybe just pick a few ones that you already have been doing and really go back to doing those. Even pick some that you always been interested doing and you want to get started on. Or kind of just pick some that, oh, I never thought of it that way. Maybe I should try it out and see if it does work for my self care. But these are all good examples of some self care activities that you'll be able to do regarding stress and even other mental health concerns as well. So now these are just some resources here. These are just some links here. I'm not going to go on the links, but we have the APA, which is talks about a lot about self care, and they also have a health center. The second link is a TED Talk video by Susanna Winters. I actually was able to watch the video. It's a really good TED Talk video. Just kind of touch base on self care and what really is self care, even some things you could do to really help your self care. We also have WellChat, that's also through Ohio University, Counseling, Psychological Services, and Student Affairs, and Division of Student Affairs, sorry. This is really something that is free, and it really helps understand when you are stressed and all that stuff. So we also have some apps, Breathe to Relax, Self-Help, Anxiety Management, and Pacifica. These are all apps that I have done research on. They all are very, very good. These are apps that we also talk about in my mental health counseling program as well. So please do some research on your end about these apps. They are very helpful, and they also are free resources as well. And also just campus recreation in general. So this is a link for our well-being and rec guide. We have tons and tons of resources of what's going on. Like for an example, like we have the Bobcat webinars that I'm doing every Wednesday until the 29th of April. We have well-being tips that will be coming out every week. We also have some group fitness virtual scheduling where some of our group fitness instructors are doing some group fitness classes live, which I think is awesome. It shows that not only take care of your physical health, but your mental health. We also have competitive sports doing some stuff, outdoor pursuits. This guy just a really about it's all about well-being, right? And we want to take care of our students, our diverse student population during this time where even though we're not physically at Ohio University, and we're not running the programs that we normally do run, but we're able to adjust and to adapt and be able to adjust the students and make sure they take care of their well-being on the holistic approach, such as their mental health, their physical health, and their emotional health, and also be very, very active in those three core elements that I like to talk about is to just be active and be connected, and also just be yourself as well. And these are just my references. There's nothing that you need to worry about. So that ends the presentation here. Does anyone have any questions regarding anything that I mentioned about the PowerPoint, even about myself? Okay, if there's no question today, that's perfectly fine. I will wait a few minutes after this presentation to answer any questions you may have. Um, please tune in to our next week's webinar. I will be touching base on nutrition, facts, and myths. Um, it's going to be more in depth for some of the facts and myths of nutrition. There's a lot of information out there regarding nutrition, and I'll really tune in next week. It's at the same time on Wednesday at noon, from noon to 12:30. If you know anyone that wants to attend it, please tune in. You can join on the website. All you have to do is click on the link that I have here, and that should get you to all the information regarding the well-being webinars as well. So, if anyone doesn't have any questions, thank you so much for tuning in to Bobcat webinar regarding managing student stress. And I hope I'll see you guys next week for our next webinar regarding nutrition myths, nutrition facts and myths. So hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Stay safe, and hope you guys take care of yourself and also be able to take care of others as well.